All right, let's bring in the lawyers now and kind of talk about how this is going to break down. You got Florida State Attorney Dave Arenberg and defense attorney and News Nation legal analyst. I told you, Garrigo's got in trouble with Dusty. He's out. Azari, bam, right in. That's how we do here. It's good to have you both. It's good to see you, Sarah. So, Dave, you have the bizarre nature here that she writes a book and then winds up being that she's the cause of the grief. But isn't the real problem for the defendant the text messages with the drug dealer?
Yeah, also, she was texting someone back and forth about the time that her husband is dying, and then afterwards she lied about it. She said, no, I wasn't texting anyone, and then she deleted the text. That's really suspicious, and she said she performed CPR on Eric, but that too was a lie. She has a motive to lie. She wanted the money. She bought the drugs, and, you know, the reality of fentanyl, Chris, is that people just don't consume large amounts voluntarily. It's usually spiked in their drugs by a drug dealer, and then the person dies when their cocaine is laced with fentanyl. You don't just have a drink and then pop 9 times the regular amount, especially if you're not a drug user. And there were no drugs found in his house afterwards. So her story doesn't make sense. This thing seems like a circumstantial case with a lot of circumstantial evidence against the defendant.
Well, how do you get around, Sarah, the idea that she was communicating with somebody trying to buy Michael Jackson stuff?
Well, Chris, first of all, I deleted your messages. I deleted Dave's messages. That doesn't mean it's nefarious, right? We need to know what that is. People are serial deleters. But the Michael Jackson stuff, that was not fentanyl. That was propofol, from what I recall. And frankly, addiction is such an incredibly secret, deadly disease. One day you're using, the next day you're abusing, and then you're addicted. And I don't know that family members or whoever said that he's never had a drug problem, who see him every so often at a holiday dinner or something, would really know that what he was doing. And so as a defense attorney, I would absolutely come in and really look into possibly whether these drugs were him and at his own request. What they recovered, Chris, I understand, was GHB from the home, and so that's not really consistent with what was in his system. And to that extent, they really need to do an independent pathology and toxicology, because I cannot tell you, I have a number of these cases open right now across the country. They're federal cases, but still, there's so many errors and inconsistencies that come up on these labs when you do an independent testing. So you really, I don't know if
Hold on a second. Here's the problem with the theory that you're putting forth is, okay, maybe he took drugs and his family doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Okay. Fentanyl, as we both know, is not a beginner drug, and it's not a sometimes play. And to have the amount in his system that he had, and remember, you're going to have somebody who may be a witness for the prosecution who's going to say, yeah, she may have said Michael Jackson stuff because she's a dope, but what I gave her was fentanyl. Mm-hmm. And that's the only fentanyl that will be in the equation. Now what?
But even if it's so, right? I mean, I think you still need to look and see if it was really a lethal level or just a toxic level. But still, even if it was 5 times the lethal level, there is a missing link here, Chris. There is no nexus that we know of so far between these drugs that she got 6 days prior to his death, and then whatever fentanyl went into that Moscow mule that then was ingested by him, even if the toxicology is accurate. So we need more, we need more. And I think this is a very weak case as it stands, to the point where I think she has a chance at bond.
Wow. So Dave Arenberg, what do you think of that? That the fact that she bought fentanyl and then he dies of fentanyl is not good enough for a jury, and certainly not enough for a judge to keep her in jail?
Sarah's a great lawyer. If anyone can get her bond, it is Sarah. I think, by the way, I think the fact that she wrote that book shows that she's a sociopath and is less likely to get bond. But as far as her buying the drugs, the only defense I see, Chris, is that She bought it for him. He took it voluntarily because he was a drug user, except all the evidence shows he was not a drug user. And as you say, you don't just go from 0 to 60 like this. This is fentanyl. This is the deep end of the pool. And it's for someone who is a severe addict. And even then, I don't know people, and I work in this area, I don't know people who take fentanyl pills voluntarily. Usually when they have fentanyl, it's a little bit that they take voluntarily, or it's laced in the stuff that they're trying to take. So it's really unusual for this whole thing to happen unless he was poisoned by someone who wanted the insurance proceeds.
Can I
I'll
just
tell
say
you
something
what,
about
though.
that book?
Go ahead. I'll give you the I'll give you the last word, and then I got to get going.
It was $14.99 on Amazon. It was pulled down. It was ridiculous to say that she wrote this book to then kill him. I mean, that's just. In fact, it helps her. She was a loving mom. She was, trying to help her kids deal profoundly with this grief. I mean, I don't see the book. I think what the book did was draw attention to this case, which now is its own crime novel, frankly.
Right. I appreciate the provocative theory, Sara. I do, Sara Azari. Dave Arenberg, as always, appreciated. I'm going to jump now and bring back Bill O'Reilly because